Yo, what's good? Welcome back to the Sideline Story Podcast. It's your boy Ray Swisher and my co-host K So. This right here is NBA updates and off-season outlooks, episode 1. So go ahead, lead us into a Corey. What was in the news today, man?
So we can start off with the talk about the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram. Obviously, they've been using him in like some trade conversations, trying to see what the market is for him, how much they can get. So I don't know what they're trying to get back for him. I don't even know what direction this franchise is trying to go because Zion being there, you kind of can't depend on him. Colum is on his last legs. So Brandon Ingram was kind of your guy. So I don't know what type of value you get for him or where you can even go after him, but it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do, whether it be picks or try and get a couple players. I don't know.
Um, in theory, when you look at the roster, this Pelicans roster, you see three names: and C.J. McCollum, Zion Williamson, and Brandon Ingram. You think for the future, your cornerstones are Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. Thing is, Brandon Ingram is kind of injury prone. He's not more injury prone than Zion Williamson, but at some point during the season, Brandon Ingram has showed he's pretty injury prone. Like this season, he played 64 games. That's kind of decent compared to what he has missed. Last season, he played 45, and the year before that, it was 55 games. Uh, Doing some research, I kind of found out that the front office or the coaching staff, they want the Pelicans to shoot more threes. Brandon Ingram won't shoot a lot of threes. He's averaging like 4 attempts per game on 35% from the field, from the 3-point line. That's not really that good at all. And Zion pretty much averages 1 3 per game for 33%. So CJ McCollum and like Jordan Hawkins. I know Jordan Hawkins. He has a nice 3-pointer too. But this team, I don't know if they really have like the personnel to shoot the three at a high clip. But I know that's the philosophy that the front office or the coaching staff is trying to implement. Um, I don't. I think this team may have peaked, to be honest with you, because
Yeah.
of health issues. And you're looking at teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder or the not the Memphis Grizzlies, but the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Indiana Pacers. You saw these young teams make these runs, and it's just like they may feel that they have just as much talent as those teams do. But the problem is they can't really stay healthy. Um, but I want to
Yeah.
kind of go ahead, go ahead.
I think this if they do move Brandon Ingram, this is gonna be like the moment where we see like do they ascend or do they kind of fall back to the back of the pack because I mean, you got like I said, you got Zion, you got Trey Murphy, who I like a lot. He can shoot the three and he's athletic, he can defend, so he's a two-way player and I think he's gonna be a good player. I think he's gonna be a possible all-star this upcoming season. But you gotta depend on if you keep Ingram or what you get back for him, how they gel with your team. Like you said, if the coaching staff wants you to shoot more threes, who you bringing in that can do that? Because right now you got maybe two guys on the roster that I would trust to just kind of jack up threes. And the way the league is going with all these analytics, that's what's going to shooting 43s a game. So if Ingram don't want to do it, you got to get somebody that can. But yeah, this trade is because they were a middle of the pack team. They kind of fell to the play in at the end of the season due to injuries. So yeah, they were looking promising because they play good defense. But now you gotta find that piece and make it work because you don't want to, especially being in the West, one misstep and you going boom, you 10, 11, 12 seeds. So you gotta make sure your next move is the best move because if not, then you fall behind and that's all she wrote.
The thing that's so discouraging is because you're in the Western Conference. And when I want to say it was the 2023 playoffs. That was the year Golden State played Sacramento in the first round, right?
Yeah.
2023, yeah. So I'm looking at teams like the Sacramento Kings, like the Memphis Grizzlies, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm thinking some of these franchises on the up and up. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. I'm thinking, okay, Sacramento. I had high hopes for them this season. I thought they was gonna be like a 3 or 4 seed because you take the Golden State series and you build off that going to the off season and you go next season with the in ground running. The thing about it is they got lapped. I feel like the Oklahoma City lapped them. They 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 exceeded expectations a lot sooner than I thought they would. I was thinking they was gonna be around like a 6 seed. Oklahoma had the 1 seed this year. They arrived very very early. They lapped the Pelicans. The Minnesota Timberwolves. They had what was considered the best defense in the NBA. They lapped the Pelicans. So even like a team like the Dallas Mavericks, who didn't make the playoffs last year, we made the finals this year. I feel like we lapped the Pelicans. So if I'm New Orleans, I'm looking around like, how can we improve this roster? I don't know if they're down for trading Zion. I wouldn't be, just because of the potential of his ceiling. I feel like Brandon Ingram is the piece that you would get the most back from in a trade. But I don't know if you will get anything to equal value, because no matter the injuries that he's shown, he's still a high-end talent. He could average anywhere from like 24 to 26 points a game. So I don't really know what they do at this point. I think CJ may be out, because I think from a defensive standpoint, CJ is he's a short guard. He can shoot, but he can't really defend. Like, I just feel like this team is peaked in totality, though.
Yeah, it's unfortunate just because they had such promise, but it's just like you said, a combination of being in the West and other teams kind of making those right moves and ascending, and now you stuck in a situation where no matter which decision you make, it's a tough decision, and even if you make the right decision, being in the West, it still might not be enough. So it's a tough position for a franchise to be in. I always say like that middle ground is where you don't want to be. You either want to be at the bottom of the league to where you can get a good draft pick and possibly shoot up, or you want to be at the top to where you're competing for championships. You don't want to be in that middle ground, because it just seems like you get stuck in a rut and there's no way out.
I feel like it's kind of inevitable, though. You could kind of tell, like, when like tandems are getting ready to break it all up. Especially like this season with like the injuries. I believe Zion missed some of the season. They even tried point Zion this year, and it seemed like it was like a revolution. So I don't know what that's gonna do going into like the season coming up. But like I said, I feel like they peaked. The thing is, if they have another injury-riddled season, I feel like next offseason they're gonna have to answer some tougher questions. You know, so I don't really know. It's getting tough in New Orleans, but the next team we got San Antonio on the offseason outlook. The thing about San Antonio, I was hearing some conversations. Do you think San Antonio has like do they owe it to Wemby to try to win now? Because I'm kind of old school. I'm of the mindset you kind of put things in the crock pot and slow cook it. But like what I'm starting to notice in the new NBA is kind of a accelerated process. If we can win now, why not win now? You know, like say like Luka Doncic. I feel like the Mavericks are on the clock. They had to pull off the Gafford and PJ Washington trade. They had to get Kyrie last season. We got to show Luka that we're committed to winning and winning at a high level. So with Victor Wembanyama, I feel like next season he might be a fringe top 10 player of the year. You know, I feel like we both said we feel like he'll win defensive player of the year. We feel like he should have won it this year. I feel like at some point they're going to be on the clock with this dude to start winning now. With the roster, they have a lot of guys signed, like Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Zach Collins. You know, you only got so many roster spots, but they have the 4th and the 8th pick of this draft, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So do you think they owe it to him to be good right away?
I mean, ideally, yeah, you would want to compete now, but unfortunately, it depends on the development of the other guys. Because I think we already know what Wemby's going to be, but it's Keldon Johnson. He's been in the league a couple of years now. Is he going to take the next leap? Vassell, what's he going to do? These picks, do you keep them and draft 2 more young players? Do you maybe trade 1 or 2 of them, package them into something that could help Wemby out there? Because right now, you got a bunch of like role players and only one like go-to option. So you got to get them some type of help. And I don't think that help is coming in this draft, unfortunately. So I think there's got to be some help from the outside if you really want to compete and try to win now. So obviously the name floating around has been Trae Young. We've been thinking about, but are you willing to wager your future, like the picks that could be a part of your future for Trae Young for right now? Which do people think Trae Young is even a win now player? I don't know. I mean, he's made it to 1 Eastern Conference Finals. He's kind of been up and down. He's been snubbed for some All-Star games. I don't know. It's another team in a tough position. Luckily for them, they're at the bottom, so they got plenty of options, and they got the superstar that they need. So it's looking good for them, but as far as win now, I don't know if they in the position to really do that quite yet. But it's still early for him. So, I mean, it's going into a second season, so it's not like he should be disgruntled or anything. He knew what he was coming into going to San Antonio. They had that number 1 pick for a reason.
Yeah, I just feel like it was the best situation structure-wise for him. I just really feel like this is the best situation for him. But as far as winning goes, I think they need to find his running mate as soon as possible because I feel like this is a league of duos now. We went through the big three phase, especially with the new CBA agreement. You're not going to be able to build a team like the way you normally could. I feel like they need the second. They need his Robin, whoever they may be. I feel like they need to find him because the thing is, this is the most losing that he's going to ever experience in his life, or that he has experienced in his life. And I know it's got to be frustrating because first and foremost, it's some part of the season when a rookie realizes, dang, I done played 40 games and I got 40 more games to go. And for Wemby, it's like you just losing after night, losing one night after another. And so that kind of gets frustrated. And I feel like I'm not saying he'll leave San Antonio. I don't think he'll ever leave San Antonio, but they will be on the clock at some point, though, for sure. I even heard a name like Lowry Market, and shout out to the Locked On Spurs channel. They were saying something like, San Antonio could be a place for like international players. It's kind of how it always been, especially growing up, like Parker, Mobley, stuff like that. They always have like foreigners come over there, Tiago Splitter, just name a few names. But I feel like that's a place where international players can come and feel comfortable. They still have the legends around, for like stability, just stuff like that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you still got Pop as your coach. I'm pretty sure Pop ain't trying to spend his last years just doing like a rebuild and kind of missing the playoffs. So they would like to get to the point where they're making playoffs and really making some noise. But I think for them, like you got the player, now it's just making sure the people around are developing because I like the guys they got there. It's just somebody has to step up and become like a true number 3 option. Then if you can bring in a 2, like you said, a running mate for them, then you right there in the mix. So it's just for them, their process has been in motion. Wemby is for sure going to be, I think he's going to be a league MVP, defensive MVP, like we said. So, the losing it happens, unfortunately, but for him, I think he knows that team is going to get there. So I don't think he will feel the pressure of like, man, it's my second year, we ain't won yet. Like, what do I want to do? I think he gets it. He's 19 years old. He'll be all right. Lose a little bit. It'll pay dividends in the long run.
The thing that kind of sucks too, we do have players aging out like Curry, LeBron, Kevin Durant, but the problem, Wemby, is I don't know. I'm trying to see because it's like, look at what the Rockets did at the tail end of last season. People are like expecting them to carry that into next season. De'Aaron Fox is going to put his name in there. Like, don't forget about me. John Morant has to be furious right now. So you expect the Grizzlies to be around. Guys like Anthony Edwards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic. The thing is, all the players I'm naming, they 25 and under. So it's like Wemby still has to compete with these guys for like the next decade almost. So it's like the sooner as you find this running mate, the sooner they can kind of get this thing rolling. The last team on the offseason outlook, it would be the Golden State Warriors. So tell me about Klay, because we had Klay Thompson in the news. Talk to me about that.
Man, it's another tough spot for another franchise. Klay has been a cornerstone for them for over 10 years now. Obviously, they got 4 rings together. Splash Brothers, greatest shooting backcourt of all time. But he made what, $43 million this year, and he wants a 3-year deal minimum. They offered him 2, so they at a crossroads right now. Like, do we let him walk and see if anybody else is going to offer him more, or do we bite the bullet and keep one of our greatest players in our franchise history here and keep him happy? So, obviously he had the Achilles injury, the knee injury, so he fought back from those, won another ring. But it's fair to say he's not the Klay of 5 years ago. He's not the same player defensively. His shooting has dipped just a little bit, nothing crazy, just a little bit. So do you bring him back or do you move forward? Because Steph is 36. He wants to try and make one more run at a ring. Draymond is a question mark as well. So yeah, the Warriors gotta kind of make that decision. If Klay's not gonna take that discount, that hometown discount for him, then he might walk. So I'm curious to see how that plays out because a lot of teams could use Klay Thompson's service. So.
The thing about it is, it just seems like they're afraid to rip the Band-Aid off, especially like with this big 3. It's so much emotional attachment, especially with those 4 championships and everything they've been through. Like, they all came up together, they went through the grind, they lost together, and they triumphed together. If I'm not mistaken, is that the reason why Bob Myers left? Because he didn't want to like make those type of decisions, or am I incorrect?
It could have been. I don't know if that was for sure the reason. I know he
Not the reason in totality.
I could see that being a reason though. Like, it makes sense. That's tough.
for those that don't know, Bob Myers is like the former GM of the Golden State Warriors. But to go deeper into the from a team aspect, it's like as long as Curry is playing at an MVP-S type of level, you can put your name in the hat. You're always gonna compete at a high level with the other teams in the Western Conference. The problem is it's getting tougher in the Western Conference, and your best players are getting older. Even though Curry is playing, he still has a lot of wear and tear. Draymond is still effective because he's one of the one of the smartest players in the game. He can still impact the floor from a defensive standpoint. He's been working on his 3-point, but at this point, Draymond will never be like a world beater from shooting a three. But it's like, what players can you put around them to sustain one final run at a championship? Because Andrew Wiggins was a critical piece in that run in 2022, and he had some off the court issues, and his game is taking a dip. It's like some nights he'll show up, and other nights he'll kind of go into a disappearing act. And we all know the Jordan Poole story, how that turned out. At one point I thought there was going to be somebody who kind of like ushered in a new regime. Once Steph Clay and Draymond left, I was like, oh, they got a guy that could be there for the future.
I never had faith in him. I never had faith in him.
I like Jordan Poole, but we had the Moses Moody, Wiseman, and Jonathan Kuminga era. We thought they was gonna be like the new guys going in too, but they ended up trading Wiseman. My personal opinion, whatever Jonathan Kuminga is, it has to happen like right now. And I'm not trying to put pressure on him, but the problem is they don't have a lot of time. Whatever he is, it has to like happen like ASAP, or he could be like a trade piece to bring in somebody new in. I've always heard names like Karl-Anthony Towns, like Larry Markkinen. Like I'm hearing like Jimmy Butler. I don't know if I like the Jimmy fit because he's Asian and he gets hurt a lot too. But what's some takes you have on the Golden State Warriors at this point?
Well, I will say I like Kuminga. I'm pro Kuminga. I wish they would kind of be more consistent with his minutes and his play time and let him just get out there. Like I feel like he should be starting lineup.
He's showing flashes.
Yeah, it's plenty of flashes. So I'm like, at what point are we just gonna commit and let him go? You know what I'm saying? So hopefully this season, like you said, they kind of let him loose and just let him sink or swim at the end of the day. I mean, they also got the young guy, the rookie Podziemski, who I like a lot. He kind of took Clay's spot in a sense because he was shooting the ball well and defending well. So I mean, he's a good little piece to go along with Steph. Draymond's gonna be Draymond. That's your enforcer. That's your heart and soul. They definitely need to get another big over there, just because I mean that small ball for them. I mean, back in the day it was good for them, but now like the small ball is not really for them. Especially, it's not really. They can't use it as they go to. They're not really as sharp as they used to be. So you kind of got to adjust with the time. So getting a big over there will help for sure. And then another reliable scoring option because Wiggins is, he says he's going through his personal stuff. He had his moments where he was that guy, but can't really rely on him anymore. I don't feel like. So, I mean, if you could bring in a Paul George, maybe if you could bring in, I mean, trade for Brandon Ingram, maybe. I mean, these wings out there, there's options out there for you, and you the Warriors. So people want to play with Steph because he requires so much attention, so it lets you kind of play free. So the Warriors, they're one of those teams that they were like a playing team, but I think they're in a really good position because you got Steph and you got options, you got a great coach. So yeah, it's going to be a good offseason for them. I feel like they're going to make some noise and they're going to be right back in the mix next season.
All right, let me just ask you a crazy hypothetical. Do you think they could package like Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga for something? I know that's kind of crazy. I like to do stuff like that though.
I mean, I can see it happening for sure. I mean, I think Kuminga, there's teams around the league that have been trying to get Kuminga for a couple of years. So I think he's a great trade piece if they want to go that route. I think Andrew Wiggins' stock is kind of lower right now, so they might I think you kind of have to package those two together or some type of draft picks. I don't know Wiggins' contract, but I know Kuminga's not getting paid much at all, so you could definitely work that into the books and get a good young player over there because he's still 20, 21 years old. So
something like that.
Yeah, I can see it happening for sure. Even like you said, Jimmy Butler, if you want to go somewhere, take a lesser role. There's a lot of different options for them.
See, all of this makes sense because Steph is still playing at a high level. I feel like Steph can still average like 28 points a game. You know what I'm saying? So in certain situations, I'm okay with mortgage in the future for like the right now. I'm okay with that. Because Draymond Even though I feel like from an athletic standpoint, he was never just super athletic, but you could tell he's getting older though. But I feel like he can still impact the game. And with Klay, I guess we could get into like the NBA updates. Klay wants a 3-year deal. Do we know the number that he's looking for?
I'm not sure the number. I would assume he wants like 15 to 20 though. I think he knows it's gonna be his last little run, so he's trying to get what he can.
And they offered him too. I feel like that 2-year deal is the Warriors saying like this is our window, probably 1 to 2 years. They probably offered him a deal based on the window that they see in the foreseeable future. That's probably what that was. Do we know Curry's deal?
Curry, I mean, he's making 50+ million a year. So
well, not his deal as far as like the numbers, but like when it ends, did they try to give him a contract lining up with Steph Curry's? Under 4-year, 200, right?
Yeah, so this is what the second year that deal?
25-26.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, 2 seasons.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that's probably what it is, and I'm pretty sure Draymond may be around the same. So I guess they say we got 2 years to get this done. I guess he wants, when a player gets up in age and still kind of can make some money, I guess they're looking for like long-term security.
Yeah,
I think I remember hearing Chris Paul say that around the time that Phoenix gave him that 4-year, $100 million deal that turned the world upside down. But shout out.
And then also Klay, he probably feels like I've earned this. I've been here this whole time. I've been productive for the most part. I've been taking the toughest defensive assignments along with Draymond. I've helped us win 4 rings. So he probably feels like at the least y'all should offer me, give me this last deal like that I'm asking for. So I can feel like emotions getting in the way of something getting done, but I mean, you give your heart and soul to a franchise, you expect them to do right by you, even if it may put them at a bit of a disadvantage. But that's where the whole like it's a business thing comes in. So yeah, shout out to Klay.
Klay averaged 17 points, 18 points a game this year. That's kind of low based on like the past 5 to 6, 7 years. Not for nothing though, players like Jordan Poole, players like Andrew Wiggins have come along and help carry the workload. But I don't know if this is I kind of like disagree in terms of what you're saying about he feel like he earned. I feel like this may be something he just feel like he just deserves, period, just because of everything. I mean, like a give me, okay, like we won 4 championships. This is me trying to get some extra money for my family going out. Like, can you help me? Not saying he's begging nothing like that.
Yeah,
I just feel like that's probably what he feel like he deserves at this point. Because from a basketball standpoint, our respect because we love Klay. We know Klay is not the same Klay once he went down against Toronto in 2019. He just hasn't looked the same. It's just the nature of the beast, though.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate just because he's done a lot, like undoubtedly so, like you can't deny that. But when you get to telling somebody what they deserve and what they should get, that's where it gets tricky because it's a slippery slope. You always going to feel like you should get what you deserve, and you got front offices trying to manage the money and this and that, and you got a window when you're trying to win. A lot of different ingredients that go into the pot, and so somebody's going to end up unhappy in this situation. Unfortunately, my prediction is it's going to be Klay. I think he ends up somewhere else. So
man, it's tough.
Yeah, it's going to be weird to see, but I mean, like I said, a lot of teams use his services, so it's not like his phone won't be ringing. He's going to be on the roster somewhere, and he's going to get the money that he wants. I just don't think it's going to be in Golden State.
We also had another trade. A trade everybody kind of knew was coming. We just didn't know like the moving parts as far as like the Josh Giddey, Alex Caruso trade. Everybody pretty much knew that Josh Giddey was leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder. Whatever allegations, I don't want to get into all that, took place this year. I don't know if that kind of caused this discourse from the team, but you can even see like that team is real close. One thing I tell people about the Thunder is Oklahoma. It's not really too much to do. So I feel like that alone kind of brings them together. Even like in the post-game interviews, you see like 7 of them gathered around the one player that they interview. They just have a lot of togetherness. And what I was hearing reports like Josh Giddey kind of separated himself. It kind of really wasn't the same. And you could kind of tell like even in like the playoffs, everybody was just pretty much saying that he's probably not going to be on this team next year, especially like after the Mavericks eliminated them in the playoffs. And today we saw that coming to fruition with him getting traded to Chicago for Alex Caruso. Like you said earlier, we don't know if he'll stay in Chicago, but those are the trades that we have right now. In the Thunder, they're getting one of the best perimeter defenders in Alex Caruso. We all love Alex Caruso. He's athletic. This year he shot I want to say 40% from three off 2 attempts a game. He averaged 10 points a game. He's an excellent plug and play piece for them. He has championship pedigree. He was on the team in the bubble. He could just ball, bro. I like this move for them, man. They didn't stand pat off this. They building off this off the season and being number one. And they said we're gonna go in the next season like with the same energy.
Yeah, I think and for Oklahoma City is perfect situation because I don't think Giddey is gonna be too difficult to replace. I mean, he's a really good passer, so I mean you lose that little bit of playmaking ability, but as far as like how he fit into the offense, like in the way the league is going, like he's not gonna take and shoot a lot of threes, so he's kind of on offense, he's a bit of a liability. Shea, we've already seen that he can play make, he can do some things, and also Chet Holmgren, he spreads the floor. He's a crazy target. Like he can do it pretty much anything on the court, similar to Wemby. So he's almost a unicorn in that sense. And then Caruso's gonna fit right in, like you said, two-way player, high energy, high effort. So you're gonna get that with a crowd like OKC, how he can work them up and just kind of be in that moment. I think he'll fit in with the locker room. So yeah, just Giddey, like you said, we kind of knew he was gonna be out of there. This wasn't a good fit. He was already losing the spot in the rotation, losing minutes. So it was just a matter of time. Great move for OKC though, man. They building, like you go from a 1 seed and had a disappointing second round outing, but hey, right back to the drawing board and they making that roster better. They coming back for another run.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I feel like that was the team that could have got us out of there. Shea is top 4 to me. I'm really having a hard time. Like he's top 4. It's like 30 points per game. 2 seasons back to back, and then you give him and like Lou Dort, another great perimeter defender, man. It's gonna get it's gonna get scary, man. Oklahoma, they shout out to Sam Presti. That's all you can really say, man.
They're gonna give teams fits. There's nightmares out there. It's gonna be, it's gonna be good. It's like the season ain't even started yet. The offseason hasn't started yet. I'm already excited for next season. Like the NBA never stops.
Can we do one more off-season outlook before we get up out of here? Because it's something else I want to add. I want to talk about the Knicks because it's actually something that goes in line with the Thunder. It's like a big name that's to be rumored. We could talk about all of the players, but I kind of want to segue into like Isaiah Hartenstein. I feel like he's one of the best interior defenders in the NBA. He's a great rebounder. I like him a lot. I choose him on my parlays a lot too, not for nothing though. But he's linked to the Oklahoma City Thunder because I believe he's looking for like a certain, no, I'm gonna tell you what it is. The Knicks can offer him 4 years around $72 million. I think the Thunder can offer him around $20 million per year. So if he leaves, he could command anywhere from $80 to $100 million, and the Knicks going to pay him 72. I feel like at that point he would just want to have to be a New York Knick for real. But because the Thunder, once you get eliminated, in hindsight is 2020, you have to be thinking like, okay, we could have had Daniel Gafford. You know what I'm saying? Because he was available, he really was, and to be able to get like Isaiah Hartenstein as a constellation prize going into next season, I think that's one reward. That's really a reward. Because you get one of the best interior defenders along with Alex Caruso. You shore up your defense for sure going into next season in the tough Western Conference or in the tough offensive league, because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the team, I was doing some research and I also found out Jalen Brunson. They said that I don't want anybody to quote me on this. It's just a rumor for right now, just something I came across. They say he's considering taking 4 years and $154 million extension. We all know he's on the best deal in the NBA right about now because I believe he signed for 4 years, $100 million. So he's about to be eligible for an extension. They already locked Josh Hart up, and I think Julius Randle is on the table for some new money as well. With that rumor, how do you feel? I feel like that's a move saying that I want to win. I want to win now by taking that massive discount.
I can see that move happening if they already got something set in place where they know a star is coming over there and they just got to save that money to where like they got something imminent that's going to happen. I don't see him like tomorrow taking a cheaper extension and then them not guaranteeing like a star's gonna come here and like fill that void, because I don't think he should be taking any type of pay cuts after what he's done these last couple seasons. I think he should be getting every dollar he deserves, and he definitely deserves the full max extension he can get. You know, all NBA, like no doubt about it. Carried the Knicks this season through injuries, through everything. So
Right.
if I were him, I'm not taking a pay cut unless I know I'm getting like somebody that's gonna be a true number 2 running right next to me. Because I don't think Randall was it. The Villanova boys is cool. It's a great story, but you know they are still at the end of the day role players. I like Josh Hart a lot. Hartenstein, obviously great, solid player, offensive rebound, brings a lot of energy. You might be losing him. So if I'm Brunson and I'm looking at the outlook, I'm possibly not gonna have Julius Randle because he's been talked about for trades and he's been hurt. So if I got to run this back and we already playing 80 minutes a game, no, I'm not taking a pay cut. I need somebody coming in that's gonna be able to alleviate some of this pressure off of me, because I'm just beating my body up at the end of the day. I'm gonna get hurt again. So no, I mean, it sounds good, but I mean, I wouldn't do it if I was him.
That's a tough one, especially when like you start to look at the landscape. We all finna get ready to see Jason Tatum sign another a max deal. We saw Brown sign one. Brown was kind of like the forefather of what's to come. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, they getting 300 now. Jalen most definitely deserves $300 million, especially like with his play. But I want to kind of piggyback off something you said with Julius Randle. So I don't really know where they go with him. I feel like he could command anywhere from 35 to 37 a year from them, probably. He could maybe sign like an identical deal to what Jalen Brunson is rumored to be considering, around like 154. Because I was hearing someone say that they could probably sign their deals at the same time, saying like these are the two guys that's leading the pack. It's very possible, but we all know how this stuff can play out. We hear stuff, and then another thing takes place. That's just how it goes in sports, period. But I kind of want to move to OG Anunoby. Him so much is not certain that he will remain in New York, because I feel like we've all seen a report of saying he may entertain other offers.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I can't get a grasp of like the energy around OG Anunoby as far as like him wanting to stay, wanting to leave. I think he has family ties in the front office, if I'm not mistaken. But how you feel about OG and potentially leaving or staying?
I like him. I saw that they said he was unhappy with the way the contract talks was going, so that's what's leaning to him being like, okay, well, I'll just kind of see what anybody else has to offer. But as a player, I think every team in the league would want OG. You got two-way player, athletic. Right. Just he's still pretty young. Obviously, he had the injuries he's dealing with, but if he can get past that, any team in the league will take him, and they're gonna pay him good money to be on their roster. So the Knicks, they got a lot of similar players as far as like stature and size, like Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, OG, guys that play hard on both ends. They can shoot the ball. So I don't know if they feel like if they lose OG, if it's really that big of a deal. But like I said, unless you got a backup plan, you know that somebody wants to come to New York and play, you gotta lock up everybody you can, because you already, you look like you could have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals this year without the injury. So you want to build on it. You don't want to take a step backwards and end up back to the old Knicks, and the fans not excited anymore, and you don't want to go back to those days. You made it. You finally made the climb up here. You want to make sure you keep going up, because this is a great time for New York basketball. You can't let that go to waste.
Yeah, you definitely want to carry that momentum. I was hearing Mikal Bridges to.
He's nice.
As Villanova guy, I guess that'll complete Exodia. You know what I'm saying? If you watch Yu-Gi-Oh, you know. but I seen a report the other day saying they are not considering trading Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, I mean they can't. That's all they got. They traded him. It's like
that's rebuild mode.
Yeah, I don't see them doing it. They can't do it, man. But it would be a great story to get all them boys over with the Knicks. But yeah, the Nets, they got
that'll be dope.
I don't know. Have we ever seen that before? With 4 guys that played together in college on the same team?
Nah,
that would be insane. But yeah, the Nets can't afford that. They gotta. If anything, they need to free my boy Cam Thomas, because he's a scoring machine.
He got a nice ceiling, especially as far as from a scoring aspect. I don't know if they'll. If I'm the Knicks, if I'm the front office, I'm like, okay, barring injury, I feel like there's no reason why we couldn't compete for a title. They well coached. They got the star player. They got the supporting cast. If fully healthy, I feel like Knicks Celtics is what the NBA needed. That's something we needed. Cause I feel like that's the team. I'm not saying they would have beat Boston, but they definitely would have pushed y'all to like the brink for real. Like I could see easily a 6-7 game series. I feel like it's tough. One thing I do feel like y'all would have made it difficult for Brunson because like y'all have bigger defenders to put on him. Like it's a lot of looks there. I could have gave him like Drew, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, like Sam Hauser. Y'all could have gave him a lot of different looks. But going into this offseason, you have to feel like we one player away. I think I like Paul George with this team. I like Paul George for like 4 teams. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I talk myself and him coming to Dallas if we keeping it a buck. But what are some players that you could see with this team?
The first one for me that comes to mind is Jimmy Butler. I think New York and just the media, I think it's just like a match made in heaven. I think he would be perfect out there from a marketing standpoint and from a basketball standpoint because he's hard nosed. Tom Thibodeau is his guy. He loves Tom Thibodeau. I think it would just be a good fit. And then also Jimmy can he's not gonna be relied on as being like the top scorer because you got Brunson there, so he can kind of be a second or even third option maybe. So take some of the workload off of him because he's missed some games these past couple seasons, kind of load management and stuff. So I think that'll be a perfect fit. Like I said, Paul George, I can see him going anywhere. He's a Swiss Army knife. I think he can fit in wherever. I wouldn't want him as a number one option. So 2 to 3, I think he'll be all right. So another two-way player. But for me, the answer for that is Jimmy Butler for sure. I think he's the perfect fit.
Jimmy Butler. Yeah, I like that. Man, I ain't gonna take up too much more of your time. I appreciate it. Some good stuff right here, man. I see if this was the future hold, man. I like this, man. It's dope.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait for the offseason. It's gonna be a lot to get to. Draft. A lot. It's gonna be a lot of movement too. It's gonna be crazy. It always is. So
we're gonna be here covering it all, man. Okay, so I appreciate you tonight, man. I appreciate everybody that's listening, everybody that's subscribing, keep supporting, man. Sideline Store, we out. Y'all have a blessed night.